My name is Lara Chen, and I'm 35 years old. If you ask my family who I am, they'd tell you I'm the dependable one. Dependable like a fire extinguisher mounted under the sink, invisible until the smoke is already curling through the curtains. Dependable like direct deposit, expected but never celebrated. For as long as I can remember, I have been the one who shows up, who writes the checks, who smooths over the cracks before anyone else notices they're there. My sister Claire has always been the bright one, the magnetic one, the kind of person who walks into a room and rearranges the gravity. I learned early that my role wasn't to shine. It was to make sure her light never dimmed. That afternoon I sent $6,200 to Claire. I was standing in line at the DMV under a busing exit sign that flickered but never quite turned off. The queue snaked around a bank of scuffed chairs bolted to the floor. Behind me, a toddler was having a full-volume meltdown over a confiscated lollipop. His grief so pure, it seemed to fill every corner of that fluorescent-lit room. I had my phone pressed to my ear, listening to a voice say the word elegant far too many times to count. Claire had texted me a Pinterest board titled Evelyn's Baby Shower Aesthetic. All sage green and rose gold, glass drink dispensers with floating citrus like a stock image of eternal summer. In the thread beneath the link, she'd written, "Can you handle this part?" Then, like an invoice slid across a bar, a Venmo request for 6,000 and some change. She didn't ask if I could afford it. She asked if I could handle it. There's a difference, subtle but sharp like the edge of a piece of paper. I tapped my phone screen. Transfer sent. A chime. I stared at the number long enough for that toddler's cry to burn itself into the memory of it. As if $6,200 now sounded like a child who couldn't be consoled. The thing about being dependable is that everyone forgets how to ask. They just assume. Claire always said she wanted me involved, and I believed her. I had paid a semester of her college tuition once, floated my parents a month of rent more than once, covered car repairs, groceries, the mystery line items that showed up under miscellaneous emergencies. Money for me wasn't about power. It was about quiet, about removing the reason they might resent my son Tyler. When I got home that evening, Tyler was curled on the couch with my phone in his hands. He's 11, sleeves always pushed up to his elbows, graphite smudging the side of his hand from the sketches he draws obsessively. He likes GarageBand, stacking loops, until his room sounds like a robot parade. My boyfriend Ethan had left half an hour earlier for a late shift at the bar he manages, kissing my cheek and saying he'd swing by after close with tacos if the salsa wasn't weaponized. We've been careful with each other, Ethan and I. Soft hands on a fragile door. No promises we can't keep. No pressure I can't breathe through. "Mom," Tyler called, not looking up from the screen. "Who's Hannah?" I didn't think anything of it at first. Maybe he'd found a stray voice memo from work. Maybe a reminder I'd recorded and forgotten. I reached for the phone. He didn't meet my eyes, just handed it over, then stood with his sketchbook tucked under his arm and walked to his room without a sound. The memo's title was nothing, just a string of numbers. I pressed play. Claire's voice came through so clear it felt like she'd stepped into my kitchen. "Make sure to tell Lara," she said. "No kids. I know she'll ask. Her brat will ruin it. I'm serious." "Tell her." Laughter followed, bright and careless. Another woman chimed in, higher, lighter. "Hannah, I think. Honestly, I don't even know why she'd bring him. He's so much. More laughter, the sound of glasses clinking. The word elegant again, looped like a chorus. I didn't realize I'd stopped breathing until the memo ended, and the refrigerator hummed back into the room. I could hear Tyler's pencil in his bedroom. A short scratch, then nothing. There's a moment, the moment between understanding and deciding, when everything goes still, like the second before a deer bolts across a highway. I stood in that pause long enough to feel the blood thrumming in my hands. Then I walked to his doorway. He was drawing a dog in a red cape, coloring the air under the paws with thin stripes, the way comic books show you motion. He didn't look at me when he asked, as if we'd rehearsed this line before. Am I allowed to go to this one? My mouth was dry. Do you want to? He shrugged, still not looking up. I just don't want you to be alone. Tyler has always been careful with me like that, counting the cost of my disappointment, even when I've told him it isn't his to carry. There have been birthday parties where his name was missing from the invitation. Group photos he was accidentally cropped out of. Adults-only dinners where other kids still made the cut somehow. Each time I explained the world to him as if it were a complicated appliance. You just have to press these buttons in this order and it'll work. But the truth is some people only know how to love a child who doesn't rearrange their idea of elegant. I sat beside him on the carpet and looked at his cape dog. Hey, I said. I'll be right back. In the kitchen, I set my phone on the counter and stared at the reflection of my face in the black glass. I thought about the DMV, about the toddler's howl braided into the sound of $6,200 leaving my account. I thought about Claire's phrase, handle this part, and the board with gold-rimmed plates. I thought about Hannah's laugh. Who is Hannah to me? A voice with a perfect manicure, clinking a stemless flute against another woman's presumption. I pressed my phone to my ear and made a single, small adjustment to one contract. The garden brunch catering with my name as the guarantor. My voice sounded like it belonged to a woman who organized spices alphabetically. The representative thanked me for my prompt attention to detail. I ended the call, then scrolled to power off. Silence. My house made its soft, familiar sounds, pipes clicking, the dog shifting in dreams, the neighbor's garage door grumbling down. I exhaled. At 9:17 that night, Ethan texted, You good? I can swing back with those dangerous tacos. I typed, We're okay. Rain check. He sent a thumbs up. Then, whatever you need, I'm here. No questions, no suggestion of what I should do. Not a savior, just a steadiness I could lean against without explaining my weight. I went back to Tyler. He'd added stars to the dog's cape, an entire constellation that didn't exist before we needed it to. I kissed his head. Be right back, I repeated, and he nodded as if we were sharing a code. I brushed my teeth. I folded the dish towel. The small, ordinary movements of a woman who hours earlier had believed family was a rope that never snapped. I climbed into bed and stared at the ceiling where the street light makes a rectangle of lemony light. Somewhere people were saying elegant in rooms I had paid to decorate. When I woke, my phone buzzed like a live thing on the nightstand. I turned it on and watched the numbers climb. 61 missed calls, texts that multiplied by the second, voicemails stacking like plates in a sink. Claire's early messages were crying jagalipses soundtracked by breath. I can't believe you did this. This was supposed to be special. You embarrassed me in front of everyone. By the third voicemail, the sobs curdled into something rehearsed in a mirror. You are cruel. You destroyed the most important day of my life besides my wedding. People were whispering. You made me look crazy. I didn't respond. Not to Claire. Not to the unfamiliar numbers that read like a chorus of bridesmaids. Not to my mother, whose message was diplomatic to the point of insult. We don't support what Claire said about Tyler, but cancelling the event the day before without warning. Lara, it was too much. She's pregnant. Think about the stress. It landed like a memo from someone who'd never once asked how many times I'd stood between my child and their idea of too much. I fed the dog. I ground coffee. I logged into the family account. The one that started as a vacation fund when Dad's heart scared us all and became the net that only I remembered to reinforce. Line by line, I traced contributions I'd made and slid them cleanly, unemotionally, into a separate account with my name only. I removed myself from the original. I clicked into the family phone plan, started a new plan for Tyler and me, and said goodbye to the phone numbers that had been used to reach me with emergencies and expectations in the same breath. At 4:13 that afternoon, a knock stretched into a percussion line on my front door. My parents' silhouettes wavered through the frosted glass like cypress trees in wind. Tyler was curled at my side with a mixing bowl of cereal, eyes on a space documentary where rocket fuel blooms white against a dark sky. He didn't ask who it was. For the first time in a long time, my son looked completely relaxed in his own home. I muted the TV. The knocking kept time with my pulse. Then it stopped. A text pinged from my father. You're better than this. Don't let one mistake burn the whole bridge. I stared at the words until they doubled. I wanted to text back. It wasn't one mistake. It was constant tiny fires in the same corner. I just stopped being your extinguisher. Instead, I put my phone face down and turned the volume back up. The rocket lifted. The ground fell away. Tyler's mouth dropped open, the shape of awe. That night I lay in bed and thought about signs. How people love to put them on easels to set rules in calligraphy. No outside food, no cell phones, no children under 12. I hadn't seen that sign yet, not with my eyes, but I felt it moving toward me. The way you can feel a storm tightening the air in the dark. A vow unspooled in me, quiet and absolute. My child would never again be the cost of someone else's aesthetic. And for the first time since the DMV, I slept. The next morning, sunlight crept across my kitchen tiles like it was afraid to wake me. The phone still buzzed in the other room, relentless, needy. I didn't check it. I poured Tyler a bowl of cereal, poured myself another cup of coffee, and let the silence stretch. When Ethan texted mid-morning, "You alive in there?" I typed back, barely but steady. He replied with a heart, nothing else. He knows when not to fill the air. At 10:40, a new notification blinked. Mom is calling. I let it ring. Then Dad. Then a number labeled Claire Baby Shower. As if my sister had rebranded herself for an event that no longer existed. The voicemail stacked again. Crying first, then anger, then something performative. The tone she uses when she's expecting an audience. I recognized it from childhood when she'd fall on the living room carpet and scream until someone carried her to her room like a martyr. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my laptop and pulled up the vendor contract for the garden brunch, the one with my name still on the guarantee. I double-checked every clause, cancellation fees, refund timelines, transfer rights, all of it written in perfect legal calm. I paid the minimum penalties myself, just to make it clean. No loose ends, no leverage. By noon, the event no longer existed in any system but my sister's imagination. When the phone finally stopped buzzing, the quiet felt like a room with oxygen again. Tyler peeked from the hallway. Is Aunt Claire mad? I looked up from the kitchen counter. Probably. He nodded thoughtful, as if weighing whether that was a big deal. Then he went back to the living room, turning on his game console without another question. I envied his simplicity, the way he can walk away from noise without apology. At 2 in the afternoon, a soft knock at my front door turned into 15 minutes of pounding. My parents. I saw their silhouettes again. My mum's shorter frame. My dad's taller shape, leaning in like he could see through the glass. Lara, my mother's voice, carried through the door, muffled but sharp. We just want to talk. I didn't move. Tyler looked at me, cereal bowl in hand. Should I open it? No, baby. Not today. They knocked again. My mum's tone turned to pleading. She's pregnant, Lara. You can't imagine what kind of stress. I turned the TV louder. A nature documentary this time. Whales crossing an ocean, steady and sure. Eventually, the knocking stopped. My dad texted one more time. You're better than this. Don't turn family into enemies. I looked at the message and whispered, I didn't. They did. That night I opened my laptop again. For years, we'd had a family emergency fund, a shared bank account that started when Dad had his heart scare. We each contributed something, but I'd been the one quietly refilling it. A few hundred here, a few thousand there. Whenever Mom mentioned just a bit short this month, I transferred money before she could even finish the sentence. Now I looked at that balance. $23,840. I went through the deposit records, every cent I'd added, and moved it into a separate account under my name. Then I removed myself from the shared one entirely. One clean click, gone. Next, I logged into our family phone plan, the one I'd been paying 70% of for years. Within minutes, I started a new plan just for me and Tyler. New numbers, new SIMs. I scheduled the change for midnight. By then, I wasn't angry, just finished. When the phone rang again, I almost laughed. It was Claire's husband, Nick, the kind of man who treated conflict like a team sport. His voicemail said, I get that you're upset. But cancelling a pregnant woman's baby shower? You went nuclear, Lara. Come on. She's your sister. I deleted it. That evening, Ethan stopped by with takeout anyway. He didn't mention the family. He just handed me a bag of noodles, kissed my temple and said, You look like you fought a dragon. I smiled faintly. I think I won. He raised an eyebrow. Do dragons usually cry this much after losing? Apparently. He grinned, then sat across from me, quietly twirling noodles on his fork. I didn't tell him everything. Not yet. But I let him stay until Tyler was asleep. When he left, he didn't try to fix me. Just said, text me if the house starts to feel too quiet. After he drove away, I stood in the doorway, watching his taillights fade. For once, the quiet felt deserved. At 11:59, my phone buzzed. Confirmation from the carrier. New plan activated. New numbers live. Just before bed, I logged out of the family group chat on Messenger, the one labeled The Chens. My last unread message from Mom said, We don't support what Claire said, but you went too far. Please don't make this bigger than it is. I hovered my finger over the chat, then pressed leave group. That night, Tyler and I curled up on the couch watching a space documentary. He leaned his head on my shoulder. Mom? Yeah? Are we still family? The question broke something quiet in me. Of course, I said. You and me. That's the family that matters. He smiled, small and sleepy. Okay. When he drifted off, I muted the TV. Outside, rain started tapping on the window. Soft, rhythmic, almost forgiving. I looked at the blank spot on my phone screen where my family thread used to be and thought, maybe this is what healing looks like at first. Not peace, but absence. 2 weeks of silence should have felt peaceful. But in my family, silence was never peace. It was the inhale before the next explosion. I almost made it to a full 14 days without hearing from anyone. Then one Tuesday morning, an envelope appeared in my mailbox. Pastel pink. My mother's handwriting, the kind she uses for sympathy cards and weddings. Inside was a gold-trimmed invitation. Please join us in celebrating Evelyn's arrival. A private welcome brunch for family and close friends. Sunday at noon. Claire's house. Dress code garden casual. No mention of Tyler. I read it twice, flipped it over as if there might be a hidden postscript. Of course your son is welcome. Nothing. That evening I texted my mother. Is this kid-friendly or another elegant event? She replied within seconds. Don't be like that. Of course Tyler's invited. Vague. Always vague. Tyler found the envelope on the counter later that night. He stared at the fancy lettering like it might burn him. Am I allowed to go to this one? He asked quietly. I swallowed. Do you want to? He shrugged. I just don't want you to be alone. That line again, like déjà vu wearing new clothes. I told him I'd think about it. But even as I said it, a prickle ran down my spine. Something about the whole thing smelled staged. That feeling sharpened around 10:40 in the evening when a message from an old name lit my phone. Sasha, Claire's college roommate. We hadn't talked in over a year. Hey, you didn't hear this from me. But there's a sign at the brunch entrance that says, no kids under 12, please. Just thought you'd want to know. She attached a photo, grainy, taken at night, but unmistakable. An easel beside a balloon arch, the words printed in soft gold script. No children under 12. Thank you for understanding. Tyler was 11. I stared at the picture until my throat tightened. Claire had actually printed it. Had it designed. For the first time in weeks, I felt the old heat rise. The one I'd promised myself I wouldn't touch again. But this time, I didn't let it burn me. I let it focus me. I didn't reply to Sasha. I didn't call my parents. I didn't text Claire. Instead, I walked into Tyler's room. He was already half asleep, sketchbook open beside him, a pencil balanced on his shoulder. Hey, kiddo, I whispered. How do you feel about a surprise trip this weekend? He blinked, groggy but curious. Where? I smiled. Somewhere that doesn't have any signs. Saturday morning, I packed a small overnight bag. By 7:30, we were on the road. 2 hours north, windows down, the early sun spilling through the windshield. I didn't tell him where we were going. Just turned up the radio and let him sing along to whatever came on. We ended up in a quiet coastal town we'd never been to, rented a tiny Airbnb above a bakery. The smell of bread and sugar drifted through the floorboards. We got donuts for breakfast, wandered through antique shops, then spent the afternoon at a science museum with a temporary dinosaur exhibit. Tyler's eyes sparkled. He touched every display, asked 100 questions, laughed until his cheeks flushed pink. And for a moment, I forgot there was a world where my family existed. That night, after he fell asleep, I turned my phone back on. It nearly froze. 103 new messages, 47 voicemails, 18 missed calls. I scrolled. Photos, tags, live videos. The first video auto-played. Claire standing in her backyard under a pale yellow parasol dress, holding baby Evelyn like a porcelain doll. Soft instrumental music played. She was surrounded by women in floral prints and wide smiles. I know not everyone could be here today, Claire said, voice trembling perfectly. But I just want to say I forgive. I forgive the hurt, the anger, the silence, because I know we're all just doing our best. Polite gasps. Someone whispered, "You're so strong. Applause." I almost laughed. Claire had turned my silence into her redemption arc. But the worst part wasn't that speech. It came later in another video posted by one of her friends. Hannah again, standing with two women, mimosa in hand. "Honestly," she said, "Tyler's probably better off not being here. It's a baby brunch, not a daycare." They laughed. The clip lasted 9 seconds before it was deleted. But not before Sasha sent it to me directly. I saved it, watched it twice, then set the phone face down on the nightstand. The bakery smell drifted up again. Butter, sugar, yeast. Tyler stirred in his sleep, murmuring about the dinosaur exhibit. I pulled the blanket over him, my chest aching with equal parts grief and relief. On Sunday morning, I left my phone off entirely. We walked along the boardwalk, got ice cream at 10 in the morning, and watched pelicans dive. At noon, the exact time Claire's brunch was beginning, Tyler was laughing so hard at a gull stealing someone's fries that I had to sit down just to watch him breathe. That laughter was worth more than any family apology I'd never get. When I finally turned my phone back on that evening, my screen exploded again. Dozens of messages, Facebook tags, even texts from distant cousins. My mother's latest voicemail said, "Claire really tried today. It was beautiful. I wish you'd been there." Then another text, seconds later. She still wants to make things right. She even said she wants Tyler to meet Evelyn soon. I stared at the screen. They still didn't understand. They thought this was a standoff, a waiting game to see who'd cave first. But I wasn't waiting. I wasn't playing anymore. That night, I opened my laptop and watched the video again. Hannah's mimosa flashing in the light, her careless grin frozen, mid-laugh. I didn't feel rage. Not anymore. Just something quieter, heavier, like standing in the hallway of a house that used to be mine, realizing all my things had already been moved out. I turned off the laptop, looked at Tyler curled up on the bed, and whispered to the dark, "You're never going to be anyone's punchline again." By Monday, the mimosa video had done what I never could. It told the truth without me saying a word. Someone from the local moms group had screen recorded it and posted it with the caption, "This is what neurodivergent kids are up against. Shameful." Within hours, the clip spread like perfume, spilled on tile everywhere, impossible to clean up. By noon, Claire's comment section was a war zone. Her pastel photos filled with words like disgusting, ableist, and unforgivable. By 3, she had limited comments, made her Pinterest boards private, and deleted the baby shower album entirely. I didn't have to do a thing. The silence in my house that afternoon felt different. Not empty, but earned. Tyler was on the living room floor building a Lego spaceship, humming to himself. No headphones, no fear of being too much. My phone buzzed. Mom again. "Everyone's made mistakes, Lara. Claire's under a lot of pressure. She never meant it the way it sounded. Please don't let strangers online destroy your sister." Strangers, I thought. The people destroying Claire were her own words. I didn't reply. 3 nights later, a new number called. Dad. Unknown contact now since I deleted the family thread. Hey, kiddo? His voice started soft, too soft, like he was already asking for something. Your mum wants things back to normal. I want to stop choosing between my daughters. I'm not asking you to choose, I said. He sighed. Then just say you overreacted. It'll calm things down. My throat tightened. Did you even listen to the recording, Dad? He hesitated. Context, Lara. You know how women talk. Sometimes people vent. I hung up. I sat in the parked car outside my house, hands trembling on the steering wheel, watching my porch light flicker. Inside, Tyler was watching cartoons. Safe. Ethan's car pulled up next to mine. He got out slowly, wordless, reading my face before he said anything. He didn't ask what happened. He just unlocked his passenger door and said, "Drive." We didn't talk until we hit the highway. The city lights blurred past like sparks. He turned on the radio, some soft acoustic song I used to play when I couldn't sleep. Finally, I said, "They think silence means surrender." Ethan kept his eyes on the road. "No, silence means you're done explaining." That night after he dropped me off, I drafted an email. Not a text, not a message. Something that couldn't be misread as emotional or impulsive. Subject: boundaries. From now on, any communication with me will be by email only. Tyler and I will not attend family gatherings. I am done pretending this is fixable. I wish you well. I read it 3 times, checked my spelling, then pressed send. Seconds later, a reply popped up from Mom. Then Dad. This is a mistake. I blocked both addresses. The days after that were quiet. A strange, weightless quiet. Ethan came over one evening with takeout again. We sat on the porch eating noodles straight from the box. He didn't bring up Claire or my parents. Instead, he told me about a customer at his bar who tried to pay with Canadian coins and charm. When he left, he said, "You look lighter." "I am," I said. "It's weird." "Not weird. You just stopped carrying what wasn't yours." After he drove off, I stood in the doorway, the night air cool against my face. Inside, Tyler was drawing on the coffee table, a rocket blasting away from a small dark planet. "Mum," he said without looking up, "do you think it's okay if we never go back to Nana's?" "Yeah," I said. "I think it's more than okay." He smiled, soft and certain. "Good." 2 weeks later, I went to his school's open house. Posters lined the hallway. Crayon sons, stick figure families, uneven handwriting spelling. My favorite place is home. A woman approached me with a polite smile. "You must be Evelyn's cousin's mum. Claire told us all about you." For a moment, I couldn't breathe. She kept talking, cheerful and oblivious. "You'll have to bring Tyler to the next family event. Claire said they're hoping the cousins can meet soon." I didn't correct her. I just nodded, excused myself, and walked straight to my car. The night air outside the school smelled like crayons and asphalt. I sat behind the wheel for a long minute, letting the silence stretch until it turned from hurt into clarity. They were rewriting the story already. In their version, I was the stubborn sister who isolated herself, the dramatic one who made things complicated. In their version, I'd never defended a child. I'd ruined a party. But in mine, the real one, I'd stopped choosing tolerance over truth. When I got home, I opened a new draft in my email app. To Mom, Dad, Claire. Subject: final note, stop. Tyler isn't a subplot in Claire's story. Do not send updates. Do not include us when it's convenient. You had your chance. We chose freedom. Goodbye. I hit send, shut my laptop, and finally exhaled. That night, for the first time in years, I slept without dreaming of doors. 3 quiet months passed. The kind of quiet that used to scare me. But now it felt like air. Tyler was thriving. He'd joined the after-school art club, filled his walls with sketches of comic heroes and planets, and started sleeping through the night again. No more stomach aches before family gatherings. No more nervous questions about who would be nice to him this time. Peace had texture now, like sunlight on clean sheets. I was finally getting used to it when a letter arrived, folded like a school note. My father's handwriting. 2 pages. The first was an essay about family mistakes and how time heals all wounds. The second, at the bottom, read, "Even Claire says she's open to seeing Tyler now. Isn't that something?" I stared at that line until it blurred. Open to seeing Tyler. As if my son's existence was a negotiation. I shoved the letter into the junk drawer with spare batteries and old keys. That same evening, Ethan came over. He found me sitting at the kitchen counter, the letter still half visible under a coupon book. "You okay?" he asked. I nodded. "Just tired." He poured 2 glasses of water, set one in front of me, and said, "You don't owe anyone an encore." I smiled faintly. "Funny. Claire always thought life was a stage." He leaned on the counter, thoughtful. "Let her play to an empty theatre, then." For once, I didn't argue. A week later, during Tyler's school open house, a new teacher smiled at us. "You must be Evelyn's cousin," she chirped. "Claire told us all about you. She said the kids might meet soon." Tyler looked up at me, confused. I smiled gently at him and said, "Let's go check out your art table." We didn't correct her. We didn't have to. Some misunderstandings don't deserve correction. They deserve distance. That night when Tyler fell asleep, I opened my laptop one last time. To Mom, Dad, Claire. Subject, closure. Please stop contacting me. Tyler is not a test of your redemption. I wish you peace, but we're no longer part of your story. Lara? I clicked send, then deleted every thread that came before it. My inbox was suddenly clean, silent, and it felt good. Weeks turned into months. No more emails, no phone calls, no letters. Tyler's laughter became the soundtrack of our evenings. Burning grilled cheese sandwiches, building Lego skyscrapers, spilling paint on the floor. One night, while cleaning out a storage closet, I found a box labeled Claire's engagement decor. Inside were gold napkin rings, a candle that smelled like vanilla frosting, and a place card that said, "Reserved for table 6. I looked at it for a long time, remembering the dinner where everyone toasted to her perfect life. Then I threw the entire box in the trash. There was no satisfaction in it, just space. A few days later, a co-worker sent me a screenshot from Facebook. My mother had posted a photo from Evelyn's first birthday. Pastel balloons, matching dresses, smiling faces. The caption read, "Grateful to have most of the family together today." Most. There was no empty chair in the photo. No sign I'd ever been expected. I laughed, not bitterly, just quietly. Because that's the thing about people who rewrite history. They forget that peace isn't found in the version they post. It's found in the one you live. I closed the photo, set my phone down, and looked across the room. Tyler was sprawled on the couch, doodling in his sketchbook. He looked up at me. "Mom? Yeah?" He grinned. "I think I finally figured out how to draw flying right." I walked over and sat beside him. His page showed a small boy with a red cape soaring above a city, eyes open, smiling. "Looks perfect," I said. And for the first time I believed it. Because we weren't escaping anymore. We were free. But freedom, I was learning, wasn't a destination. It was something you had to defend. A month after I threw out Claire's engagement box, my grandmother called. Not texted, not emailed, called. Her name lit up my screen at 7 in the morning on a Saturday. And for a moment, I just stared at it. My grandmother, Helena Chen, was 82 years old, sharp as cut glass, and the kind of woman who wore pearls to the grocery store. She'd been quiet through all of this. A distant presence in family gatherings, polite but never close. I answered on the fourth ring. "Lara." Her voice came through clear and steady. "I need to see you." Not a request, a statement. "When?" I asked. "Today, if you're able. There's something we need to discuss." She gave me an address I didn't recognize. A cafe in a part of town I rarely visited. "Be there at 10, she said, and hung up before I could ask why. I told Tyler I had an errand to run, left him with Ethan, who'd shown up with bagels and a promise to teach him a new card game, and drove across the city with my stomach knotted. The cafe was small, brick-walled, with round tables and mismatched chairs. My grandmother sat in the back corner, a cup of tea in front of her. Her purse perched on her lap like a small dog. She looked up when I walked in, her eyes tracking me the way a hawk tracks movement in tall grass. "Sit," she said. I sat. She didn't smile, didn't offer pleasantries. Instead, she reached into her purse and pulled out a leather-bound checkbook, the kind people don't use anymore, and set it on the table between us. "I've been watching," she said. "Watching what?" "Watching you hold this family together with your bare hands while they take and never once say thank you." Her voice was calm, clinical, like she was diagnosing a problem. I didn't say anything. She continued. "I know about the money you sent Claire. I know about the emergency fund you've been filling for years. I know about the tuition, the rent, the groceries. I know. Because I've been doing the same thing for 40 years, Lara. And I'm telling you now, it stops." I blinked. "What?" She opened the checkbook, uncapped a pen. "You think you're the first dependable one in this family? You think I didn't spend decades being the one everyone leaned on? I did. And it cost me everything I loved except money." She wrote something on a check, tore it free, and slid it across the table. I looked down. $50,000. Made out to me. My mouth went dry. "Grandma, I can't." She cut me off. "You can, and you will. This isn't charity. This is severance pay. You're done working for a family that doesn't value you. Take this. Start over, build something that's yours." I stared at the check, at the careful script of her handwriting. "Why now?" I asked. "Because I should have done it sooner," she said. "Because I saw that video of Claire's friend laughing about Tyler, and I realized I'd been complicit in all of this by staying quiet. Because you deserve better, and so does your son." My throat tightened. I don't know what to say. She leaned back in her chair, her expression softening just slightly. "Say you'll stop apologizing for taking up space. Say you'll use this money to build a life where your child doesn't have to shrink himself to fit." I nodded, unable to speak. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand once, brief and firm. "Good. Now go." I stood, the check folded carefully in my pocket, and walked out of that cafe feeling like I'd been handed a key to a door I didn't know existed. When I got back to the house, Ethan and Tyler were laughing over a card game that seemed to have no rules. Tyler looked up. "Everything okay?" I smiled. "Yeah, everything's okay." That night, after Tyler went to bed, I sat with Ethan on the porch and told him everything. About the check, about my grandmother, about the strange relief of being seen by someone who understood. He listened without interrupting, then said, "What are you going to do with it?" I thought about that question for a long time. The truth was I didn't know yet. But for the first time in my life, I had options. I had room to breathe. I had permission to stop carrying weight that was never mine. The next morning, I opened a new savings account, just for Tyler and me. I deposited the check, watched the numbers appear on the screen, and felt something loosen in my chest. Over the next few weeks, I started making plans, small ones at first. A college fund for Tyler, a cushion for emergencies that were actually emergencies, not someone else's poor planning. A budget for art supplies, music lessons. The things he loved, but I'd always deprioritize because there was always someone else who needed something more. I also started therapy. Real therapy, not the kind where you vent to a friend over wine. The kind where someone holds up a mirror and asks why you've been apologizing for existing. It was in one of those sessions that I realized something I'd never been able to articulate before. I wasn't angry at my family for taking. I was angry at myself for giving, when I knew it wouldn't be appreciated. My therapist, a woman named Dr. Patel, with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor, said, "You taught them how to treat you. Now you're teaching them something different. It's going to feel uncomfortable. Let it." And it did. It felt uncomfortable. When my mother sent an email asking if I'd reconsider coming to Thanksgiving. It felt uncomfortable when Claire posted a photo of Evelyn with the caption, "Family is everything," and tagged me in it. It felt uncomfortable when my father left a voicemail saying, "We miss you," as if missing someone was the same as valuing them. But I didn't respond. I didn't engage. I just kept building. By the time autumn arrived, our life had taken on a new shape. Tyler's art was all over the house, vibrant and bold. Ethan had started staying over more often, his presence steady and undemanding. My grandmother called once a week, never for long, just to check in. And I felt lighter. Not perfect, not healed, but lighter. One Saturday in late October, I took Tyler to a pumpkin patch an hour outside the city. The air smelled like cider and wood smoke, and the sky was that particular shade of blue that only exists in fall. We picked pumpkins, drank hot chocolate, and walked through a corn maze where he insisted on leading, even though he had no sense of direction. When we finally emerged from the corn maze, laughing and covered in bits of dried leaves, Tyler announced he was starving. We found a picnic table near the edge of the patch and ate apple cider donuts that left sugar on our fingers. The sun was starting to sink, painting the sky in shades of amber and rose. Tyler looked at me across the table, his face sticky and content, and said, "This is the best day ever." I believed him, because there was no tension threaded through it, no waiting for the other shoe to drop, no careful navigation around invisible landmines. Just a mother and son eating donuts in the fall light. On the drive home, he fell asleep in the back seat, his pumpkin buckled in beside him like a companion. I glanced at him in the rearview mirror, his face soft and unguarded, and felt something settle in my chest. This, I thought, This is what I was fighting for. When we got home, Ethan's car was in the driveway. He was sitting on the porch steps with a paper bag and 2 coffees. "I thought you might need fuel after a day of pumpkin wrangling," he said. I sat beside him, carefully so as not to wake Tyler in the car. "How'd you know we went to the pumpkin patch?" he asked. "I didn't," I said. "I just know you." He smiled, handed me a coffee. "So what's next?" "Next? Yeah. You've cut ties, you've got your grandmother's support. Tyler's happy. What's the next chapter?" I thought about that. For so long, my life had been defined by reaction. Responding to crises, filling gaps, managing other people's emergencies. The idea of proactive living felt foreign, almost indulgent. "I don't know," I admitted. "Maybe that's okay," he said. Maybe not knowing is the point. November came with cold rain and early darkness. Thanksgiving loomed like a storm cloud on the horizon. My mother sent an email with the subject line, "Please reconsider." Inside was a long, carefully worded plea. "We're family, Lara. Family forgives. Claire has apologized. She wants to move forward. Your father misses you. I miss you. Please don't let pride keep you from the people who love you." I read it 3 times, looking for the apology I knew wouldn't be there, looking for acknowledgement of what had actually happened, of what Tyler had actually endured. It wasn't there, just the word pride, as if boundaries were vanity. I didn't reply. Instead, I called my grandmother. She answered on the 2nd ring. "Let me guess," she said. "Thanksgiving guilt trip?" "How'd you know?" "Because I got the same email 30 years ago. Different words, same song." "Are you going?" I asked. "No," she said. I stopped going to performances where I wasn't valued, only needed. You should do the same. So I did. On Thanksgiving Day, Ethan, Tyler, and I drove to my grandmother's house. It was a small brick cottage on the edge of the city, surrounded by oak trees that dropped acorns like punctuation. She answered the door in an apron, her hair pinned back, looking more relaxed than I'd ever seen her. "Come in, come in. It's too cold to stand on ceremony." The house smelled like rosemary and butter. Tyler immediately gravitated toward a shelf of old books, running his fingers along the spines. My grandmother watched him with something like recognition. "He has your eyes," she said to me. "But he has his own spine. Thank God for that." We cooked together, the 4 of us moving around the small kitchen in an easy rhythm. Ethan told stories that made my grandmother laugh. An actual laugh, not the polite trill she used at family gatherings. Tyler set the table with mismatched plates she pulled from a cabinet, each one a different color. When we finally sat down to eat, my grandmother raised her glass of wine. "To new traditions," she said, "and to the courage it takes to start them." We clinked glasses. Tyler clinked his apple cider. And for the first time in my life, Thanksgiving felt like gratitude instead of obligation. After dinner, while Ethan and Tyler were outside throwing acorns at a tree, my grandmother and I sat in her living room. She had a fire going, small and steady. "I need to tell you something," she said. I waited. "When I gave you that money, it wasn't just for you. It was for me too. I've spent my whole life watching this family take from the people who give, and I did nothing. I stayed quiet because it was easier, because I told myself it wasn't my place. But silence is complicity, Lara, and I'm done being complicit." She looked at me, her eyes sharp and clear. "You did what I should have done years ago. You drew a line. Don't ever apologize for it." "I won't." I said. And I meant it. December arrived with the kind of cold that makes the world feel clean. Tyler's school had a winter art show, and his work was displayed in the main hallway. A series of drawings titled Places That Feel Like Home. There was our living room, the science museum, the pumpkin patch, and in the center, a drawing of the two of us on the couch, a bowl of popcorn between us, the TV glowing. Underneath, in his careful handwriting, he'd written, "Home is where nobody asks you to be smaller." I stood in front of that drawing for a long time, my throat tight. Other parents moved around me, admiring their own children's work, but I couldn't move. Ethan found me there, read the caption, and put his hand on my shoulder. "He gets it," Ethan said quietly. "He really gets it." A woman approached us, smiling brightly. "You must be so proud. This is beautiful." "I am," I said. And I was. That night, after the art show, after we'd gotten ice cream to celebrate even though it was freezing outside, after Tyler had gone to bed, I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop. I opened my email and found a new message from Claire. The subject line was, "I'm sorry." I almost deleted it. Almost. But something made me open it. "Lara, I know I don't deserve a response. I know I hurt you and Tyler in ways I can't take back. I've been doing a lot of thinking since the baby shower incident. And I realize now how awful I was. How awful I've always been to Tyler. I let other people's opinions matter more than my own nephew's feelings. I let my idea of perfect get in the way of what actually matters. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm not asking you to come back. I just wanted you to know that I see it now. I see what I did, and I'm sorry. I read it twice. It was better than the other apologies. More specific, less performative. But it was also too late. Some things once broken don't fit back together the same way. I closed the laptop without responding. Not out of spite, but out of protection. Tyler didn't need an aunt who had to be publicly shamed into decency. He needed people who chose him first. Always. January brought snow, the kind that muffles the world. Ethan and I were sitting on my couch one evening, Tyler asleep in his room, when he said, "I've been thinking about us, about this." He gestured vaguely at the space between us. "I don't want to rush you, and I know you're still figuring things out, but I need you to know I'm not going anywhere. This isn't temporary for me." I looked at him, at his steady eyes and careful hands. "I know," I said. He smiled. "Good, because I love you, and I love Tyler. And I'd really like to stop pretending I don't want to build a life with you both." My chest felt tight in the best way. "I'd like that too," I said. He kissed me, slow and certain. And for the first time, I let myself imagine a future that wasn't defined by what I was running from, but by what I was running toward. February came with a thaw. My grandmother called on a Tuesday morning. "I'm updating my will," she said without preamble. "I want you to know that I'm leaving the cottage to you and Tyler." "Grandma," I started. "Don't argue," she said. "It's done. I've also set up a trust for Tyler's education. And before you say anything, this isn't charity. This is investment. You're investing in the right things, Lara. Your family never did. I want to make sure you have what you need to keep doing it." I didn't know what to say. Thank you felt too small. "I love you," I said instead. She was quiet for a moment. "I love you too," she said. "Now go live your life. Stop waiting for permission." By March, things had found a rhythm. Tyler was excelling in school, his confidence growing in ways that made my chest ache with pride. Ethan had moved in, slowly, a drawer at a time, until one day I realized his toothbrush had been next to mine for 3 months, and it felt right. My grandmother came over for Sunday dinners, where she and Tyler would argue about whether dinosaurs could have been purple. It was in late March that I got another email from my mother. This one was different, shorter. Lara, your father is in the hospital. Heart attack. He's stable, but he's asking for you. I stared at the email for a long time. Then I called my grandmother. Should I go? I asked. Do you want to? She asked back. I don't know. Then don't, she said simply. Wanting to go and feeling obligated to go are different things. You don't owe him your presence just because he's in a hospital bed. But what if I started? What if what? What if he dies and you regret it? Maybe. Or maybe you go and he uses it as an opportunity to guilt you into coming back. Only you know which risk you can live with. I thought about it for 2 days. In the end, I went. Not because I owed him, but because I needed to see for myself that I could walk into that hospital room and walk back out unchanged. He was in a bed by the window, smaller than I remembered, tubes running from his arms. My mother was there, her face drawn. She looked up when I entered, relief flooding her features. Lara, she breathed. You came. I didn't respond. I walked to my father's bedside. He opened his eyes, focused on me. Hey, kiddo, he said, his voice weak. Hey, Dad. I'm glad you're here, he said. Your mother said you might not come. I almost didn't. He nodded slowly, as if that made sense. I've been thinking, he said. About a lot of things. About how we handled everything with Claire and Tyler. Your mother says I should apologize. I waited. He looked at me, and I saw something in his eyes I'd never seen before. Uncertainty. I'm sorry, he said. For not standing up for Tyler, for choosing the easy path. I should have been better. It wasn't a perfect apology. It didn't undo anything. But it was real. Thank you, I said. He reached for my hand. Can we start over? I thought about that. About what starting over would mean. About whether I had the energy to rebuild something that had never been solid to begin with. I don't think so, I said gently. But I don't hate you. I just need you to understand that Tyler and I have a life now. A good one. And it doesn't include people who make him feel small. He nodded, his eyes glistening. I understand. I stayed for another 20 minutes, making small talk with my mother, answering questions about Tyler's school and his art. When I left, my mother walked me to the elevator. Thank you for coming, she said. You're welcome. She hesitated. Claire really is sorry, you know. She's been seeing a therapist. Maybe, I said. But that doesn't change anything for us. She looked like she wanted to argue, but didn't. The elevator doors opened. I stepped inside. Take care of yourself, Mum, I said. The doors closed. When I got home, Tyler and Ethan were building a blanket fort in the living room. Mom, Tyler called. Come see. We made a castle. I crawled inside, the blankets held up by chairs and couch cushions. String lights casting everything in a warm glow. This is amazing, I said. Ethan grinned. We're hiding from dragons. Can dragons get in here? I asked Tyler seriously. No way, he said. This fort has a no-dragon policy. I laughed, and it felt good. That night, after Tyler fell asleep in the fort and we carried him to bed, Ethan and I sat in the kitchen. How was it? He asked. The hospital? It was okay. I said. He apologized. That's good, isn't it? It is, but it doesn't change anything. He nodded. You don't have to let people back in just because they finally said sorry. I know, I said. And I meant it. Spring came slowly, then all at once. The trees outside our windows burst into green. The air smelled like rain and fresh-cut grass. Tyler's 12th birthday arrived in April, and we threw him a party. Not a big one. Just a few kids from his art class. Ethan, my grandmother, and a chocolate cake I made from scratch that leaned slightly to one side. We played games in the backyard, and Tyler laughed so hard he got the hiccups. My grandmother pulled me aside at one point. This is what it's supposed to look like, she said. What? Family. People who show up because they want to, not because they have to. I looked at the scene in front of me. Tyler covered in frosting, Ethan refereeing a game of tag, kids running and shouting. You're right, I said. That evening, after everyone had gone home and Tyler was in bed, I found an envelope on the counter. My grandmother must have left it. Inside was a note in her elegant handwriting. Lara, I'm so proud of the life you've built. Keep building. Keep choosing joy. Keep protecting that beautiful boy. You're doing everything right. All my love, Grandma. I folded the note carefully and tucked it into my wallet. May brought warmth and the end of the school year. Tyler's art teacher called me one afternoon. Miss Chen, I wanted to let you know that Tyler has been selected for a regional young artists showcase. His work will be displayed at the Community Arts Center next month. Really? I said, my voice breaking slightly. Really? He's incredibly talented. The showcase was on a Saturday in early June. The Arts Center was packed with families, the walls covered in paintings and drawings and sculptures. Tyler's work was in the main gallery, a series of pieces titled Finding Home. There was the blanket fort, our kitchen table covered in art supplies, my grandmother's cottage, Ethan teaching him to play guitar, and in the center, the largest piece, a portrait of the three of us, me, Tyler, and Ethan, standing in front of a house with a red door, the sky behind us full of stars. I stood in front of it, unable to move. Ethan came up beside me, Tyler on his other side. Is that us? Ethan asked softly. Yeah, Tyler said, that's us. It's perfect, I said. An older woman approached, a ribbon on her lapel indicating she was one of the judges. This is your piece? She asked Tyler. He nodded. It's beautiful, she said. Can you tell me about it? Tyler looked at me, then back at her. It's about finding the people who let you be yourself, he said, and building a home with them. The woman smiled. That's the most important kind of home, she said. She moved on, and Tyler tugged at my hand. Mum, did I do okay? You did more than okay, I said. You told the truth, and that's always okay. The showcase lasted 2 hours, and at the end, they announced the winners. Tyler's piece won first place in his age category. When they called his name, he looked at me with wide eyes. Go on, I whispered. He walked to the front, accepted a small trophy and a certificate, and when he came back, he was beaming. I'm really proud of you, I said. Thanks, Mom, he said. Then, quieter. Thanks for letting me do this, for letting me be me. My throat tightened. Always, I said. That night we celebrated with pizza and ice cream. My grandmother came over, toasted Tyler with sparkling cider, and told stories about when she was young and wanted to be a painter. I never did it, she said. I was too busy being dependable. But I'm so glad you're doing it, Tyler. Don't stop. I won't, he promised. Later, after my grandmother had gone home and Tyler was asleep with his trophy on his nightstand, Ethan and I sat on the porch. The night was warm, crickets singing in the bushes. He took my hand. I have something to ask you, he said. Okay. He turned to face me. I know we've been taking things slow, and I know you've been through a lot, but I need you to know that I've never been more sure of anything in my life than I am about this. About us. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. I'm not asking you to be anything other than what you already are. I'm just asking if you'll let me be part of it. Officially. He opened the box. A simple silver band with a small diamond. Lara Chen, will you marry me? I looked at him, at his steady eyes and careful hands, at the life we'd built together in the spaces between the broken pieces of my old one. Yes, I said. Yes. He slipped a ring on my finger, kissed me, and I felt something I'd never felt before. Complete. Not because he completed me, but because I'd finally completed myself. And now I was choosing to share that wholeness with someone who valued it. We sat there for a long time, holding hands, watching the stars appear one by one. Everything okay? He asked eventually. Everything's perfect, I said. And I meant it. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't waiting for the other shoe to drop. I wasn't bracing for disaster. I was just here, in this moment, with the people I'd chosen, and who'd chosen me back. July brought planning. Not wedding planning, not yet. We wanted to wait, to let Tyler adjust to the idea, to make sure he felt included in every decision. But life planning. Ethan and I started looking at houses, places with yards big enough for a dog and a garden, extra rooms for Tyler's art, and maybe someday other things. My grandmother offered to help with the down payment. It's an investment, she said again. In the life you're building? We found a house in late August, a small craftsman with a red door and a backyard full of possibility. The first time we walked through it, Tyler ran from room to room, his voice echoing off the empty walls. This one can be my art studio, he called. And this one can be for guests. And look, there's a tree in the backyard perfect for a tire swing. Ethan and I stood in the living room, sunlight streaming through the windows. What do you think? He asked. I think it's perfect, I said. We made an offer that day. It was accepted 2 days later. September brought moving boxes and new beginnings. My grandmother helped us pack, sorting through years of accumulated life. We found old photos, baby clothes I'd saved, drawings Tyler had made when he was 5. We kept what mattered and let go of the rest. The day we moved into the new house, rained. Not a downpour, just a steady drizzle that made everything smell like earth and fresh starts. Ethan and I carried boxes while Tyler directed traffic. That one goes in my room. That one's fragile. Be careful with the lamp. By evening, we were surrounded by chaos, but it was our chaos. We ordered Chinese food and ate it sitting on the floor of the living room. The windows open, the sound of rain, a soft percussion. This is home, Tyler said, his mouth full of lo mein. Yeah, I said. This is home. October brought the first hint of cold and another email from Claire. I almost didn't open it. But curiosity won. Lara, I heard you're engaged. Congratulations. I mean that. I also heard you bought a house. I'm happy for you. I know I don't have the right to ask, but I'd like to meet Tyler someday. Not at a family event, not with expectations. Just coffee or a park or something simple. I understand if the answer is no. I just wanted you to know I'm trying to be better. And I miss you. Even if I don't deserve to. Claire. I showed the email to Ethan. What do you think? I asked. I think it's up to you, he said. But mostly, it's up to Tyler. So I asked Tyler. We were in his new art studio. Him painting, me organizing supplies. Aunt Claire wants to see you, I said. How do you feel about that? He was quiet for a moment, his brush moving across the canvas. Is she going to be nice? I think so, but I don't know for sure. He nodded slowly. Can you come with me? Of course. Then okay, he said. We can try. We met Claire at a park in mid-October. She was already there when we arrived, sitting on a bench, baby Evelyn in a stroller beside her. She stood when she saw us, her hands twisting together. Hi, she said. Hi, I said. Tyler stayed close to my side. Claire looked at him, and I saw her eyes fill. Hi, Tyler, she said softly. I'm your Aunt Claire. I know, he said. She knelt down to his level. I owe you an apology, she said. I wasn't kind to you. I said things that were wrong and hurtful, and I'm really, really sorry. Tyler looked at me, then back at her. Okay. Can I show you something? She asked. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small sketchbook. I've been taking art classes, learning to draw. I'm not very good yet, but I thought maybe you could give me some tips. Tyler's eyes lit up. Really? Really? They sat on the bench together, Tyler flipping through her drawings, offering gentle critiques and suggestions. I watched from a distance, Ethan's hand in mine. She's trying? He said quietly. Yeah, I said. Trying doesn't erase the past, but it's something. We stayed for an hour. It was awkward at times, but not unkind. When we left, Claire hugged me briefly. Thank you, she said, for giving me a chance. This doesn't fix everything, I said. I know, but maybe it's a start. We drove home in comfortable silence. Tyler fell asleep in the back seat. The sketchbook Claire had given him clutched in his hands. Do you think she meant it? Ethan asked. I think so, I said. But even if she did, we're okay either way. He smiled. Yeah, we are. November arrived with bare trees and the possibility of snow. Thanksgiving was at our house this year, the new house, with its red door and wide windows. My grandmother came early to help cook. Ethan's sister and her family drove in from 2 states over. Tyler set the table with mismatched plates we'd collected from thrift stores. And at the last minute, I invited Claire. Just her and Evelyn, no one else. She arrived with a pie and uncertain eyes. Thank you for having me, she said. Of course, I said. Dinner was loud and chaotic and full of laughter. Tyler and Ethan's niece argued about whether aliens existed. My grandmother told a story about the time she accidentally set a turkey on fire. Claire was quiet but present, helping clear plates and keeping Evelyn entertained. At the end of the night, as people were leaving, she pulled me aside. I know I have a long way to go, she said. But I want you to know I'm grateful for this, for you not giving up on me completely. I didn't do it for you, I said honestly. I did it for Tyler, so he could see that people can change, even if it takes them a while. She nodded, tears in her eyes. I'll keep trying. Good, I said. 'Cause that's all any of us can do. December brought snow and the quiet hum of contentment. Ethan and I set a wedding date for the following spring. Nothing big, just family and close friends in my grandmother's garden. Tyler asked if he could walk me down the aisle. I cried and said yes. Christmas morning, we woke to a world covered in white. Tyler ran downstairs to find presents under the tree we'd decorated together. Ethan made coffee and pancakes. My grandmother called to say she'd be over later with gifts. And I stood in my kitchen, looking out at the snow-covered yard, the red door visible from the window, and felt something I'd spent 35 years chasing. Peace. Not the absence of conflict, but the presence of joy. Not perfection, but authenticity. Not a family held together by obligation, but one chosen with intention. That afternoon, Tyler was in his studio, working on a new piece. I leaned in the doorway watching him. "What are you making?" I asked. He turned, grinning. "A portrait of our family. Want to see?" He showed me the sketch. Me, Ethan, Tyler, my grandmother, even the dog we'd adopted last month, all of us in front of the house with the red door. "It's beautiful," I said. "Thanks." He hesitated, then added, "I'm happy, Mum." "Me too, baby," I said. "Me too." That night, after Tyler was asleep and the house was quiet, I sat with Ethan on the couch. He had his arm around me, and I had my head on his shoulder. "You know what's wild?" I said. "What?" "A year ago, I thought my life was falling apart. And now? Now you realize it was actually falling into place," he finished. "Yeah," I said. "Exactly." He kissed the top of my head. "I'm proud of you." "For what? For choosing yourself? For choosing him? For building this?" I smiled. "We built it. Together." "Yeah," he said. "We did." January brought a new year and new possibilities. My grandmother's health started to decline. Nothing dramatic, just the slow fade of age. She moved into the cottage's guest room so we could be closer. Tyler visited her every day after school, showing her his latest drawings, telling her about his day. She'd sit in her chair by the window and listen, smiling that secret smile. One evening in late January, she called me into her room. "Sit," she said. I sat. "I need to tell you something." "Okay." "I'm proud of you, Laura. Prouder than I've ever been of anyone. You broke a cycle that's been going on in this family for generations. You chose differently. And Tyler is thriving because of it. Grandma, I started. Let me finish. I don't have much time left." "Don't argue. I can feel it. But I need you to know that what you did, cutting ties, setting boundaries, choosing your son over their approval, that was the bravest thing I've ever seen. And I'm grateful I got to see it." She took my hand. "Promise me you'll keep choosing joy. Keep building. Keep protecting that boy." "I will," I said, my voice breaking. "Promise. I promise." She died 3 weeks later, in her sleep, peacefully. We found her in the morning, the sun just coming through the window, a slight smile on her face. The funeral was small, just the way she'd wanted. Tyler read a poem he'd written. I gave a eulogy that I barely got through. And Ethan held my hand the entire time. After, as we were leaving the cemetery, Claire approached. "I'm so sorry," she said. "She loved you so much." "I know," I said. She was quiet for a moment. "I know I don't have the right to say this, but she'd be proud of you. For everything you've built." I looked at her, really looked, and saw something different. Sincerity. Growth. "Maybe," I said. "Thank you." We stood there for a moment, two sisters who'd taken very different paths, and for the first time, I didn't feel anger, just acceptance. "Take care of yourself, Claire," I said. "You too." February brought the reading of the will. As promised, my grandmother had left the cottage to Tyler and me. She'd also set up a trust for his education and left a significant amount to charity. But the most important thing she left was a letter. For Lara, it said on the envelope. I opened it that night, alone in my bedroom. My dearest Lara, if you're reading this, I'm gone. Don't be sad. I lived a long life, and the best part of it was watching you become who you were meant to be. I spent too many years being dependable, being the one everyone leaned on. And I lost myself in the process. But you found yourself. You chose yourself. And in doing so, you saved your son. That's a legacy worth more than any amount of money I could leave you. The cottage is yours now. Fill it with love and laughter and art. Let Tyler paint the walls if he wants. Let Ethan build things in the workshop. Make it a home that celebrates who you all are, not who anyone else thinks you should be. I love you. I'm proud of you. And I'll be watching. Always. Grandma. I folded the letter carefully, tears streaming down my face, and put it in the box with all the other things I'd keep forever. March brought planning for the wedding. Tyler helped choose flowers. Ethan and I wrote our vows together, laughing and crying in equal measure. We kept it simple, because that's who we were. No elaborate decorations, no guest list full of obligation. Just the people who mattered. Claire asked if she could come. I thought about it for a long time. Then I said yes. But I also said, this is Tyler's day, as much as it is ours. If you come, you celebrate him too. I will, she said. I promise. April brought cherry blossoms and the final preparations. The night before the wedding, I couldn't sleep. I went downstairs and found Tyler in the kitchen, eating cereal. Can't sleep either, he asked. Nope, I said. I sat beside him. You nervous? He asked. A little. Good nervous or bad nervous? Good nervous, I said. Very good nervous. He smiled. I'm happy for you, Mom. You deserve this. So do you, I said. We sat in comfortable silence, eating cereal at midnight, and I thought about how far we'd come. From the DMV line where I sent $6,000 I couldn't afford, to this kitchen in this house with this kid who'd become the best part of me. The wedding was perfect. Not because everything went according to plan, but because nothing did. It rained in the morning, stopped just in time for the ceremony, then started again during the reception. Tyler walked me down the aisle wearing a suit he'd picked out himself, bright blue because he said it made him feel brave. Ethan cried when he saw me. I cried when I saw him crying. We said our vows under a white tent in my grandmother's garden, surrounded by the people who'd chosen us and whom we'd chosen back. Claire was there, sitting quietly in the back, and when she caught my eye, she smiled. A real smile, not performative, not calculated, just genuine. After the ceremony, as we were taking photos, Tyler tugged on my dress. Mom? He said. Yeah? I just want you to know, this is the best family I could have asked for. I knelt down, not caring about the dress or the mud or anything else. You're the best family I could have asked for too, I said. Always. The reception was small and loud and full of dancing. Ethan's sister gave a toast that made everyone laugh. Tyler gave a speech he'd written himself about how superheroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they just show up every day and make you feel safe. There wasn't a dry eye in the tent. As the night wound down and guests started to leave, I found myself standing at the edge of the garden looking back at the tent, the lights, the people. Ethan came up beside me. What are you thinking? He asked. I'm thinking about how 1.5 years ago I thought I'd lost everything. And now I realize I just lost the things that were never really mine. He put his arm around me. And what did you find? I found us, I said. I found home. We stood there for a while, watching the last of the guests say their goodbyes, the lights twinkling in the growing dark. Tyler ran up to us, grass-stained and happy. "Can we go home now?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "Let's go home." And we did. To the house with the red door and the yard full of possibility. To the life we'd built with intention and courage and love. To the family we'd chosen and who'd chosen us back. It wasn't perfect. There were still hard days, still moments of doubt, still echoes of old wounds. But it was ours. And that made it everything. That night, as I lay in bed next to Ethan Tyler asleep down the hall, I thought about my grandmother's letter. Make it a home that celebrates who you all are, not who anyone else thinks you should be. We had. We'd built a life on our own terms, with our own rules, full of art and laughter and second chances. And for the first time in 35 years, I wasn't waiting for permission to be happy. I wasn't apologizing for taking up space. I was just living, fully and authentically and without fear. Free.